So yeah, much beloved track, and you can see why. And if you have any doubt, when you make it over to the motherland, we'll take you for a pint and whack this on the jukebox, and you'll see the effect.
I look forward to it. Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Audiophiles. I am Andy, that is John, and we are here to check out some music and discuss it. So, John, what do you have in store today?
So going back to a band we have checked out before, and that band is the Stone Roses.
Okay, excellent. Always enjoy listening to the Stone Roses.
And the track that you're going to listen to today is called "I Am the Resurrection."
It's again a very evocative title. Okay. I will endeavor to give this thing a spin and then come back and let you know what I've made of it. Some interesting lines to interpret there. It sounds like someone is kind of, I don't know, like they perhaps have had enough of somebody. Um, like your face, it has no place, no room inside my house. I think it's pretty clear that someone needs some distance from whomever this is aimed at. Really infectious, albeit kind of simple beat to start things off. Manny's bass is always going to be something that I kind of fixate on, that I've learned to appreciate when listening to the Stone Roses. Didn't take much learning. I'm already kind of a nut for the bass anyway, and then within the first, offering and every subsequent one that John's given me from the Stone Roses, the bass has been something that I've been keen to kind of fixate on. So yeah, impressed, but also my expectations are met. I guess that's the kind of the base level for my expectations when it comes to Manny's work in the Stone Roses. There's almost this psychedelic kind of sound to the vocal delivery on, is it Ian Brown? I don't know what it is about that, but it does have like kind of that mid 60s psychedelic, early psychedelia sound to that delivery. Interesting stuff so far. That guitar is really pretty. Yeah, he's really getting fed up with whoever he's talking about here. Like, can't stand their company anymore and cut them loose. And some interesting lines I jotted down. It definitely sounds like somebody is kind of getting at the end of their rope with another individual. So let's take that back a little bit, because I don't want to miss this ramp up that we just encountered, I think. that's interesting. Okay, so I caught the titular line there, if you will, but this now it's sounding, given that line, I am the resurrection or whatever. It sounds like it's from this POV of a Jesus figure or this Messiah character who is, I guess everybody has their breaking point, even the offspring of the Almighty, and it seems like he's like, look, I've had enough. I mean, he's like, but I think this is his. Can't believe I'm about to say this. This is his come to Jesus moment where he realizes, like, look, I can't hate you, but there are times where you're pushing my buttons. Is kind of what it feels like he's conveying here, which is really interesting, kind of clever approach that even gods or the Christ-like figures can reach their breaking point or close enough to it. That's kind of makes you grin. And I can't say that I would disagree with him at times. Couldn't bring myself to hate you as I'd like. Where do you go? That itchy guitar over top of Manny's fucking awesome bass. Yeah, this is like a whole nother song. Funk. Hand drums, man. It's like, who pressed pause? Well, I did in this case, but in the song, it felt like someone pressed pause for a few seconds and then just nonchalantly pressed it a second time, and we pick up right where we left off. That was interesting. the tone on this guitar. It sounds like it's got this acoustic-y sound to it, but I'm wondering if it's like an acoustic simulator pedal on an electric, because it's just this added tinniness to it that makes me think that almost like it's like it doesn't sound like one, but it sounds like it's bordering on close to something more Eastern, like a sitar or something like that. I don't know. It's just really it's early days in hearing its appearance, but let me hear that come in again. Oh, those hand drums. Oh my god. Yeah. Oh, that took me to a place I didn't I didn't see on the radar. It wasn't on my map. Um, yeah, it really did feel like almost two different songs put together, um, with two very different sounds. The second half was rich with all these funk stylings, the guitar and the bass, and the opening was like the first portion had this, I don't know, like kind of like I said, like early psychedelia or psychedelic rock with some like maybe some Motown in there a little bit, and then it just transitions into this like funk rock odyssey. Um, so it's you know two very different sounds that they've put together here. I'm not judging. I don't. What am I to judge? Both were different degrees of good and amazing. The first half, good song, interesting lyrical content, and I want to get confirmation on whether I was right or to be corrected so I can see the light of what they were trying to convey. But there was some really interesting lyrical content, some pointed observations from what sounds like this Christ-like figure about its, I don't know, subjects back on Earth, or in this mortal life, with some fun movement in there as well musically. I mean, if that came on, I'd happily listen to it again. But the larger half, I don't know, the back 2/3 of the song was like on a whole nother level, like just amazing jam session. Uh, this is interestingly close to jam band music. What they did here, they just really drew out this movement and added different bits and pieces, whether it's stuff that stands out really forward in the mix or it's these whooshing almost like screams of like instruments that are faded far back in the distance that you can hear this whoosh. that the music is then layered on top of. So it just becomes this very minor textural piece, but it adds to it. Everybody's doing their part. The traditional drum kit with the coupled with the movement of the hand drums. Manny's bass work was outstanding. The guitar work was, I mean, come on, man. That was some really fabulous stuff, and very versatile in their sound. Now you could perhaps gripe that they took two really good songs and just kind of stapled them together to make this, kind of Frankenstein. But if it sounds good, man, it sounds good. And it wasn't so like the way they assembled it and kind of put everything together. There wasn't this jarring effect for me. Yeah, my eyebrows raised when I heard the difference between the sounds and the different subgenres that they were influenced by from one bit to another. But again, this wasn't a red flag. This was just great altogether and very interesting, I think. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't come as much as a surprise that I enjoyed a Stone Roses track, but it's just another one in the what's becoming a long list of really good tracks offered up by John from these guys. So let's get back to the man himself and chop this one up.
Mostly harmless. So you're back, and it didn't take you 3 days. You had listened to "I Am the Resurrection" by the Stone Roses. What do you reckon?
Yeah, that rock was nothing for me. And it moved right out of my way. Yeah, this was a really interesting spin. Definitely a curveball about a third of the way through the track, give or take, which I found really interesting, and I'm sure I'll get into here given my notes. But things commence with a drum beat that features, I think, some interplay between the snare and a little bit of tom, along with the hi-hat, with the snare being the more prevalent drum, accented by raps on the aforementioned accompanying percussion instruments. And then it instructs Manny's bass with more than just a little dip in its step. And it's early days here, but the rhythm section is really carrying the water for this track thus far. And therefore, we have this undeniable swagger to the song's movement. And Ian Brown then joins, and he sings a couple of stanzas. Down, down, you bring me down. I hear you knocking down my door, and I can't sleep at night. Your face, it has no place, no room for you inside my house. I need to be alone. Interesting stanza, or couple of, I should say. Um, and just as he resolves on the word alone, this distorted bit of guitar notation shoots forward, ushering in a transition to the next portion of the track. And I have to admit, I wanted to continue with the following the narrative here, but it's the first iteration of a newly introduced musical motif in the song. So, as I often do, my attention is fixated on the music, in this case, in the form of this almost galloping bit of guitar work that's featured here. It nearly skips about in its playful pattern, proving that the guitar can traffic in contributing to rhythmic movement to the song as well. And this stanza is then punctuated by this well-timed drum fill that also indicates transition. And from here, we get more of this jaunty movement from earlier and another couple of stanzas of verse. Brown sings, "Turn, turn, I wish you'd learn. There's a time and place for everything," before emphasizing that he needs to get it through. But it would appear whatever patience he had for this you to learn has completely waned, as he seems fed up, singing "Cut loose, 'cause you're no use. I can't stand another second in your company." So the guitar work ramps up a bit as we transition back into what I'm calling the chorus of this track, but this time I'm keen to catch more of what Brown is singing as he commands whomever the song is aimed at to not, I think, waste their words. And then he emphasizes that he doesn't need anything from this person, nor does he care where they've been or what they plan to do. He sounds quite over whoever this is aimed at, and their shit, from the sounds of it. Again, I should reiterate that I really enjoy the guitar in this portion. Not only that movement that I spoke of when I listened to the first chorus, but it also has this incredibly appealing, twangy, jangly, twangly tone to it that is really infectious and a lot of fun to listen to. You and I are both fans of the twangle, so it's on display here, and I'm appreciating it. And despite the bright, almost this is weird, but like uh, his vocal delivery has this early psychedelia kind of sound to it, but there's also this Motown-ish movement to the rhythm of it all. So it's an interesting dynamic and sound that they've got built going on here, and it's more upbeat a bit. And the lyrical content, though, seems to further underscore our narrator's disgust for this individual. So that's an interesting dynamic, the sound of the music and this creeping venom that's coming. I mean, creeping, it was at first, and now it's just fully come to a head. He calls on them to stone him before launching into some pretty serious shit talk. He calls them a no one and washed up, and then dismounts the stanza by saying they'd look better dead. Okay. The stanza that follows seems to compare the person to a or the people, whoever this is aimed at. He compares them to something almost serpent-like, with a talk of a tongue and its length, and something about the way they suck and slur on every word. Another chorus greets us on the other side of this verse, but then it gives way to another drum fill that lands us in this new stanza as the song swells and Brown delivers the titular line, I am the resurrection, I am the life. Biblical shit, man. I couldn't ever bring myself to hate you as I'd like. So now, for the first time, and I don't know why this didn't trigger sooner given the title. I guess I had to hear it to really connect the dots. I could think that this could easily be the thoughts of Jesus Christ or some other Messiah-like figure as he witnesses the state of things in the mortal world and how fucked up we can be. And this gives way to some really pretty, almost gentle lead guitar work for a bit before that same stanza repeats. I am the resurrection. Um, and then we get this very rhythmic stuttering pattern, which is underscored by the drums before things cut out. And then Manny launches into this semi-funky but certainly swaggy bass motif that is accompanied by some killer guitar work that also has more than just a dash of funk stylings injected into it. And the hand drums then come in and adding more rhythmic texture to the musical tapestry, as it appears we are launching into a full jam session that to me sounds completely divorced from what preceded it. But that doesn't make it any less outstanding. I really love it. It's like, oh, it's a twofer. But it'd be really, my point is like they don't sound anything alike. These sounds like two songs under the title of one song. That's fine. I don't object to it. I could see some like asshole critics maybe underscoring this disparity. But for me, if it sounds good, it fucking sounds good. And this sounds, outstanding. So it cuts out abruptly at the 520 mark, but this is a red herring, as at the 524 mark, the guitar starts back up again like someone hit the pause button for the second time. It's like it's going, and then it just starts back up again, which kind of threw me for a loop for a second. I had to check the screen. And, back into the jam session we go with faint almost, there's this like hazy, I use the verb screaming, but I can't find the word for it, but there's this haunting, like faint screaming of instruments like guitar or something that's in the background. Again, adding kind of texture to the whole mix. So before we hear a bit of this before another fantastic lead explodes onto the scene, and this continues for a bit until we get treated to this near tinny sounding acoustic guitar. Now, I don't know if it is a true acoustic or if it's an electric that has like the acoustic replicator effect pedal implemented on it, because there's something more to this. Maybe it's an acoustic with an effect added to it, or it's an electric meant to mimic an acoustic, but something is a little off, but in a good way. It's just, it's not lining up as like, yeah, this is a true acoustic guitar that I'm hearing. But part of this, the affectation or the perversion of this sound is this added sense of something Eastern to its tone. It sounds almost like a sitar to me at times. Like it doesn't, I should say this. It sounds like it wants to sound like a sitar. It doesn't sound like a sitar, but there's this twanging resonance to each strum that has a bit of that tone to it, which only makes it that much more interesting and kind of thought provoking as you're letting it kind of wash over you. And this carries on. And with it, the drums fire off some nice rolls and crashes beneath it before they're, eventually reined in, leaving just some hi-hat and or tambourine shakes in their wake. And then the guitars become slightly hushed as they're coupled with light hand drum work until the song kind of fades to completion. So yeah, this was definitely a tale of two songs, one of which was nice with a couple standout features that I would gladly listen to if it came on. And another one that was just full blown flawless jam session that grabbed my attention and really never let it go. So I don't want to overlook the first half or for it to appear that I am, especially if my assumption about the lyrical content is correct. I because that to me is one of the more interesting parts of the first portion of the song. If my assumption is correct, I think it's clever and an interesting narrative, one that you could, I don't know if you could envision, but you could you could certainly see that perhaps these flawless beings, if you are to subscribe to their existence, would perhaps at times look down and be like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Don't use my name to perform that act or to think that thought. You're letting me down. And I'm exhausted by you. There is that essence to the narrative here, and I find that really interesting. So again, I don't want to overlook that, but the second half is just fucking so good. That musically you can't really compare the two. I mean, the one is really good. The other is, like I said, like bordering on flawless. So yeah, it was a whole lot of fun to listen to this. I really enjoyed it. I would have never guessed that we ended up where we did. Two very different sounds and styles and subgenres kind of make up the two portions, and yet somehow it for me it all worked as one thing, even though I think it was two things cobbled together under the guise of it being one thing. But please tell me more about this interesting, but albeit fabulous track.
Thanks, Andy. Interesting stuff. As I said before many times, it's always interesting to get your point of view on a song which I've known since the year dot. It
Right.
feels like.
Yeah.
For many people, not me, but for many people, this is the best Stone Roses song. My preference is Fool's Gold, but I wouldn't quibble too much. This is
Can I
an
can I
outstanding song.
can I ask, is it the back two-thirds of this track that educate or inform that sort of adulation, that mass appeal to the track?
Yeah, maybe, but I think that's the point when people lose it. But, and I've said this before, um, and I have to change some of the words, but if you want to, I used to say, if you want to see 40-something-year-old British men lose their shit, now I'd say 50-something
Yeah,
year
I was
old
gonna say
British men
40
lose their
something
shit.
mentioned something bad about Oasis. 50 something mentioned something bad about them.
What you would do is you would put this song on the pub jukebox at about 10:30 when everyone's nicely sort of, toasty. And it just the place goes fucking berserk, honestly. And what kicks off is them singing the lyrics because everybody joins in and absolutely adores it.
Okay.
So, and it's this closing track to the album. And because of what's gone on before, the whole thing, it works as a whole piece. It really does.
Okay.
But anyway, as I said before, we've covered some Stone Roses songs. I couldn't believe when got to this that we first did She Bangs the Drum, and that's the only song we've done previously from this album. I thought we'd done more, and we haven't. We've done Driving South, Love Spreads, One Love, and Fool's Gold when poor old Manny departed.
Hmm.
So we're back to their debut album. So it is the final song on the UK version, the proper version of their debut album. Of course, they pissed around with it for the American version and subsequent re-releases. But so, just to remind ourselves, personnel involved: Ian Brown vocals, Manny bass guitar, Rennie drums, backing vocals, piano on She Bangs the Drums, and John Squire guitars and backing vocals on She Bangs the Drums as well. So we've talked about before what happened with the band and their prolonged sort of legal wrangles with Silvertone, the label at the time that signed them to Infinity and several universes yet and yet discovered all the rights. During this time, they released this track as a single. It's the last single off the album in '92. The album came out in '89, so that gives you an idea.
Hmm.
And it reached number 33. So, and it was just basically second of two singles which they released when they were estranged. It was just a cash grab by the label. Regarding the song's origin, drummer Rennie revealed that the track originated when they got together and used to jam, and bassist Manny used to play the riff of the Beatles' Taxman. This song has come up many times in previous episodes, in the
Yes.
jam as well, and so that. But he used to play it
It's like
backwards.
they were influential or something, John.
Yeah. So he would play the Taxman bass riff backwards. And Rennie said Manny would play the riff backwards during sound checks, and we all played along over the top for a laugh. Finally, we said, let's do this joke song properly and see what happens. And as you said before, the song splits clearly into two halves. So it starts with a real old school sort of Motown four to the floor bass. Manny joins in with his
Yes.
bass. And the guitar doesn't even show up for the first verse. So it begins as a kind of indie pop anthem. And I have to say, it does feature one of Ian Brown's best vocal performances. And he weaponizes biblical imagery to dismiss a toxic ex-partner or critic.
Mm.
Verses build into one of the most euphoric sing-along choruses of the indie era. So the lyrics of I Am a Resurrection describe a broken down relationship between two people, one of whom is the Messiah. The song is told from the messianic narrator's point of view and reads like a hate letter for the most of the song. The verse is filled with lines such as "Stone me, why can't you see? You're a no one, nowhere, washed up baby, you look better dead." The tone shifts in the bridge, though, with the lines, "I'm the resurrection and life. I couldn't ever bring myself to hate you as I like," lampooning the narrator's God complex, along with religion in general. Maybe he is not the Messiah, just a very naughty boy. Biblical scholar James Crossley has noted the biblical language throughout the song, and indeed in other songs as well. But whether the singer takes on the role of Christ-like or godlike figure. So in reference to what it is John chapter 11. Jesus goes to see the sister of his friend Lazarus, who had died 4 days earlier. And Jesus tells Martha that his brother will rise again, adding, "I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, though he may die, he shall live." So in addition to the title referring to John 11, Crossley argues that there are references to stubbornness and repentance found in the prophetic literature of the Old Testament, which repeatedly uses the language of turning to God, and persistence and redemption in the New Testament, which uses the language of knocking at doors. In Crossley's view, the song partly functions as a story of God and Israel/humanity in the Bible, but now applied to human relationship. And that's a really good point, because this is a mechanism which Brown uses throughout the album. He gets a macro view of things, observations or criticisms of religion, politics, and society at this macro level, and then he applies them at an interpersonal level regarding relationships, whether they are romantic or social or even just geographical. And so his lyrics, on the surface can be fairly simple, but actually usually have quite a deep political or social political resonance to them, which is fascinating. He also puts in techniques like the reoccurrence of the word stone. Obviously, they're called the Stone Roses. The song's called Made of Stone. In this, he puts "Stone Me," which is a British sort of saying idiom. It just expresses surprise. You don't literally want someone to stone you. Another phrase that people say is "stone the crows." Again, it's got nothing to do with killing these wildlife. It is just an expression of surprise. So you go, "Oh, stone me! He's done it again." Something like that.
Okay.
It's an interesting one, but it's a real pleasing one when you get these motifs reoccurring. And also, very funnily, the throwback to 60s sound with the Birds, turd, one of their songs. Interestingly, on one of their first ever interviews, Ian Brown and John Squire, they're asked what annoys them the most, and Ian Brown said straight away, people saying that the 60s have influenced us, which they clearly have. They got on this high horse about it. Really funny. Really
The whole
funny.
song stems from taking a 60s track and reversing
yeah.
it.
Exactly. So, but that's him for you. The second half of the song is this famous outro. Speaking to the enemy about the instrumental, Manny revealed the end section was recorded in one take by me, John, and Rennie. I think there's a little bit of post-production put in there, some effect, but on the whole, that is a one-take jam.
Wow.
And it is quite masterful. Interestingly, when they reformed, there's footage of them doing it again in rehearsal studio, and all the things you talked about, like that acoustic, weird-sounding sitar thing,
Yeah.
it's all the same guitar all the way through. It just changes certain effects. I don't know what the hell he
Yeah,
does,
those effects are,
but
but
it's
that's clearly
amazing.
something.
Yeah, amazing. I saw them actually do it live as well. It's one of the few songs I can remember them doing because I was a bit out of it. But again, it wasn't the jam bit wasn't quite smooth. It's still really good though, and it just evolved into something weird and wonderful. So yeah, the jam evolves into a masterclass of rhythmic interplay, driven by Rennie's fluid, jazz-infused drumming and Manny's locked-in bass.
Yeah.
I have to say I mean, I know the guitar is amazing. John Squire's an amazing guitarist, but for me, the drums are just absolutely. It's one of his best performances. There's so much swing in the drumming. It's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I absolutely adore it. Above this rhythm section, guitarist John Squire unleashes a dazzling, multi-layered psychedelic guitar solo that seamlessly bridges classic rock heroism with dance floor energy. Yeah, and this is cited as one of the songs, like also wrote for Luck by Happy Mondays, that is infusing this dance element into indie music and giving way to Baggy and Manchester and that shit. And it really was something amazing and revelatory at the time. I mean, it was just blew people's minds. And even Brown gets involved on the bongos. That's him.
All right. Nice.
So the lyrics. Down, down, you bring me down. I hear you knocking down my door, and I can't sleep at night. Possibly a biblical reference. Your face, it has no place. No room for you inside my house. I need to be alone. Definitely a biblical reference to room inside my house.
Yeah.
My house is blah, blah, blah. Don't waste your words. I don't need anything from you. I don't care where you've been or what you plan to do. Turn, turn. I wish you'd learn. There's a time and place for everything. I've got to get it through. Cut loose, because you're no use. I couldn't stand another second in your company. Don't waste your words. I don't need anything from you. I don't care where you've been or what you plan to do. Stone me, why can't you see? You're a no one, nowhere washed up baby who'd look better dead. Your tongue is far too long. I don't like the way it sucks and slurps upon my every word. Possibly a reference to definitely liars. Judas Iscariot, it's been mentioned about the length of tongue being a liar. Perhaps, I don't know. Don't waste your words. I don't need anything from you. I don't care where you've been or what you plan to do. I am the resurrection and I am the life. I couldn't ever bring myself to hate you as I'd like. Then we go into the guitar solo, this sort of jangle pop guitar solo, as it were. And then back, I am the resurrection, I am the life. I could never bring myself to hate you as I'd like. Interesting enough, when they put, I didn't write this down, but when the first time they performed this live, apparently it wasn't very good. But there were two people in the audience that night who was very influential on. One being Noel Gallagher, who at that gig met I've forgotten who it was, which member of the Inspiral Carpets, but they started chatting, and Noel got a job as a roadie with them at that gig, from that gig that night.
That's awesome.
And the second person who was very inspired by watching them because as he sings the "I Am the Resident," like Ian Brown would spread his arms and do all that. It was a certain Liam Gallagher, and he said in an interview that performance completely changed his outlook. He said if he hadn't gone to that gig, he would just be another Scully knocking around a building site or doing whatever and wouldn't even have chosen music. He
Yeah.
said it was transformative watching him, Ian Brown, perform. So
Yeah.
again, really interesting, you know.
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
imagine that. And when you
yeah,
said when he said that Noel Gallagher was there, and then and suggested that another individual was there, I was going to say who, Liam, but I figured that would be low hanging fruit because of course they would have been there together.
yeah.
But yeah, yeah, that's how it turned out. And you're right. As you even when you were mentioning Noel and hadn't gone to Liam yet, I was thinking how what a pivotal moment for them and the trajectory of and sound of Oasis probably kind of was born on this or evening, whatever this at this concert that they attended. It's really interesting to think.
Yeah, to be fair, down the years, Noel in particular has become a bit of a talking head rent a gob. You know, when they do anything, he'll come up and say how influential that person was or whatever.
Yeah,
But before at the start, obviously, he would just go on about how brilliant the Beatles are, which is clearly the
yeah,
two
yes,
bands he would always cite. It would be Stone Roses and the Smiths, and it's the guitarists in each,
yeah,
Squire and Johnny Marr. He always gave them plenty of praise, and clearly they're instrumental.
yeah.
In formation of his sort of stuff. So then we go into the instrumental outro, of course, which you described in great detail. And I know every sort of note from that and have done since 1989, really. The one thing I will say is it's all about context. So there's a bit in it, 601, where the guitar picks in, and there's this sort of brief sort of notation, really high notes like I absolutely adore that bit. As a guitar solo, it's not really a solo, it's probably 15 seconds, but it's one of my favorite little snippets of guitar action, just because of the context of everything around it. It's like when people ask me who my favorite guitar solo is, it might change, but one of them is Television, The Dream's a Dream. And again, it's not the greatest guitar solo, but in the context of the song, I fucking love it. It just fits so well. It's just
Hmm.
so beautiful. Anyway, yeah, I just think it's a wonderful, wonderful sort of jam. It really is. And at the end of such a tremendous album, it really struck a note with so many people. Q Magazine placed the song at number 10 in its list of 100 greatest guitar tracks. Um, NME Magazine placed On Resurrection at number 8 in its list of 50 greatest indie anthems ever. NME also placed it at number 100 in its 500 greatest songs of all time. And NME readers famously voted it the best album closer of all time,
Mm.
beating out iconic tracks by the Beatles and Radiohead. So yeah, much beloved track, and you can see why. And if you have any doubt, when you make it over to the motherland, we'll take you for a pint and whack this on the jukebox, and you'll see the effect.
I look forward to it. Hopefully by then I'll be able to join in too, because I'll have a few more listens under my belt.
And then we go north the border into Scotland and we'll put the Proclaimers on it, and people will really lose their shit. Anyway, yeah, I'll wrap things up. Thanks for listening to this, Andy.
Thank you.
Folks out there, please tell us what you think. If you like this track, please do hit the like button and drop some comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts about this song or anything about the Stone Roses or this album. But yeah, the song in particular is great. Your memories, perhaps, or what you think of it and which bits you like. Yeah, really interested to hear what you have to say. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. We really appreciate everybody who does support the channel. And yeah, and of course you get everlasting life as well. That being said, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see all of you on the next episode of the Audiophiles.
See you later, guys.